Season 40, War number 7, and we are up against SSx. This time my team will be Tigra, Valkyrie and Hercules. I am gonna be taking path 6 in section 1, as well as that America Chavez on the shared fight. Then I'm gonna be taking that Punisher on the root node, path 7 in section 2, as well as the Dr. Doom on hazard shift, all the right side mini bosses, as well as the Nick Fury boss. This is gonna be the first war that I'm gonna be bringing in Hercules, and I'm gonna be taking quite a few fights with him. Some of them are a bit scarier than others. Up first we have this Valkyrie on the combat deja vu prowess and spiked armor nodes, and I'm gonna be taking this fight with Hercules to ramp him up a bit. The goal is to get him ramped up all the way to 12 persistent charges before the boss fight, or at least as close to it as possible. So I will be going for an intercept and a heavy attack in all of my Hercules fights, or at least that is the goal. I will not be going for the third persistent charge, which is getting knocked down by the opponent, because eating specials or heavies in Alliance War is not really something you want to do on purpose, at least. Now the game plan here is to just hit Valkyrie until she drops. That's basically all there is to it. I will punish her special once with my heavy attacks to build up my feats of strength so that I can just hit harder. That's not something that I need to do, I just do it because I'm used to doing it with Tigra and other champions, and might as well do it just so that my attacks actually hit harder. Now I didn't put recoil masteries on for these few first fights because I didn't think I needed to. And instead of ticking down with the debuffs from those, I figured that I would just save my HP so I wouldn't have to use as many potions. So these fights are a bit slower than they could be. Now I went for special 3 there to try to finish the fight. I didn't have enough feats for the burst damage to actually finish the fight, but a couple hits afterwards and she goes down. No issues there, it's a very easy fight, more than likely a diversity placement. As for the spiked armor node, it doesn't really do anything, so that wasn't really a worry either. Now then, on to the next fight. We have an America Chavez on the Ebb and Flow knockdown and right back added nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Hercules. And this fight is very simple, as long as you don't do two things. Number 1, don't let America Chavez use a heavy attack, and number 2, don't push her to her special 2. I already failed rule number 1, now she got that negative zone dimension, and now I failed rule number 2, she got the special 2, with the negative zone being the last dimension she triggered, so the special 2 was completely unblockable, and I missed the dex on it. I ate the last hits of that special 2, and it would have killed me if Hercules didn't have his immortality there. So I got very lucky I survived the fight. That got way too scary, way too fast, and I definitely should have had my recoil masteries on for these, just to make the fights go faster, so that I could have just nuked her down, instead of having to dance around there any longer than I needed to. And that could have been my first death of this season. Now, after that close call there, I went ahead and put on the half recoil masteries with the bleed only, and I will explain why in just a little bit. And this fight right here is a Punisher 2099 on the Scared Stiff node, and I'm taking this fight with Hercules. The game plan here is to get to my special 2 as fast as possible, and then just use the help of the cosmic power back boosts to be able to cycle special 2s over and over again. That is the game plan, and it does go pretty damn well for the most part. The special 2 hits very hard with those cruelties and having the recoil masteries on. Unfortunately, my second special 2 didn't crit at all, and the regen kept him topped up there for a bit, which made the fight a lot scarier than it needed to be. Once again, if I failed to finish him off there with the stun, I would have eaten a special 3, and that special 3 hits hard. So it worked out, but it could have gone very wrong. Now this next fight is a Doctor Doom on the Hazard Shift, Shock and Bleed nodes, and I'm taking this fight with the Valkyrie. The game plan here is to only hit into his block, so that I will not be triggering any of those Hazard Shift debuffs, and that's basically the whole fight. I will be baiting special ones, and whenever I do so, I do have to wait out the aura, so that he doesn't nullify any of my buffs. And then I just need to build up to a special to drop it into his block, and the fight is basically over. Now to explain why I only have the half recoil masteries with only the bleed debuff, is because the bleed debuff is not on constantly. It falls off pretty early on in the fight, which means I won't be constantly ticking down with poisons, or rather the poison debuff from the recoil masteries. Now the reason why that's important is because some of these Valkyrie fights can take a bit longer, so I'd rather just have the bleed early on, drop it and then heal up here with the armor break debuff from the node. So it worked out very well. I did also have to have the recoil masteries on for my Hercules fights to make them safer and faster, like we saw against that America Chavez. I really needed it, and especially against that Punisher 2099, the extra damage was necessary. So, now next up we have a Crossbones on the second wind unblockable node, and I'm taking this fight with Hercules. And now looking back, I should have put on full recoil masteries at this point, throw in the liquid courage as well for the poison, just for more damage, and it would have made these fights faster and easier. That being said, this fight has basically nothing special going on. I'm just gonna be fighting a normal Crossbones for the most part, and to get my persistent charge for the heavy attack, I do punish the special one with a heavy attack. The spacing for it was very close, I almost messed it up, but worst case scenario I would have just gotten the get knocked down challenge done instead. Either or, it worked out, and this way I didn't have to use any potions. Well, more so than I already do. Now this next fight here is a Quicksilver on second wind unblockable and make a stand nodes, and I'm once again using Hercules here to ramp him up even further, and this fight is very annoying. Well, Quicksilver always is very annoying. There are a few things I need to keep an eye on here. One is his evade, second is the whiplashes. I need to be parrying constantly to remove those. And then there's also the protection, so to get rid of that I have to first parry, hit him to trigger the evade, then parry straight after again to be able to throw a heavy attack, to knock him down, to then remove the protection so that I can actually do any damage. Now these fights are over before I can really even start explaining what I'm doing, explaining the game plan, but there really isn't anything too special to explain. It's just Hercules nuking fights down like he normally does. Now next up we have a Sersi on the Safeguard miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra. And the game plan here is to start the fight by parrying her and hitting her with a medium here to trigger the neutralize, then bait a heavy attack so she can't trigger the glancing buff, then bait one more heavy attack, punish it with my heavy. That gets me enough power to get to my special 2. I throw it, and Sersi just gets nuked down so fast. The special 2 itself didn't quite finish her off because she decks the first hit, but I did get enough power to get up to a special 1, and chaining that in straight after was enough to finish her off. Now this next fight is a Terrax on the Stunning Reflection and Polka Dot Power miniboss node, and once again I'm gonna be nuking this guy down by starting the fight with 2 aggro septs. I dex his medium dash, followed by a heavy attack to punish him, get the rub shoes up, get to my special 2, throw it. Again, it's not quite enough to finish him off, but I chain a special 1, almost finishes it, chaining another heavy after, and the fight is over. 2 mini-bosses down in less than 40 seconds. Tigra is just amazing for most cosmics. Now that that's done, we have 2 fights left. A Spider Ham on the Brute Force miniboss node that I'm gonna be taking with Hercules to get him ramped up the rest of the way, and then we have the Nick Fury boss. Now I did put on the full recoil masteries here to also have more damage on the poison, and something that I forgot to mention with the Punisher 2099 fight was that I had a teammate place Gallant's pre-fight there, the Cosmic Seed. So every fight I've won with Hercules so far has ramped up that Gallant's pre-fight, and now I'm actually not taking that much damage at all from the recoil masteries. I'm actually healing up with the poison even though I am fully boosted. So now my Hercules just has free regen and he's just gonna be destroying these fights. The game plan for the Spider-Ham was to just bait his special ones and just dump my power as soon as I got to my special one so that he wouldn't gain those nonsense charges, which then means he won't trigger his power stings or evade, making him extremely easy to fight. Now we have a Nick Fury boss, the final fight of this war, and I'm gonna be taking this guy with Hercules. That's basically why I ramped him up all the way up until this point. And well, we've seen this fight with Kitty Pryde before. It takes very long, but with Hercules the fight is gonna be over a lot sooner. The game plan here is to just avoid baiting his special one, and that's about it. I do need to keep an eye on his tactical charges to make sure he's not unblockable, or that if he uses a special one he wouldn't go unblockable during that special one. Now, one thing I do take advantage of whenever I fight Nick Fury is the fact that he cannot, or rather will not, use his special one while he has 16 or more tactical charges, as to not push himself over the stack limit of 20. So that is a neat little trick to manipulate his AI, which is very useful in some situations. Like right here, 16 charges, he can't use it. Now that he's down to 15, he could have, but luckily he didn't. The first life is down in just about a minute, and Hercules is still very healthy, 38 hits into the fight. This guy is just melting. Honestly, using Hercules in war was kind of fun. Usually when I use someone like Kitty Pryde, the fights can take a bit longer, and the fights can also become a bit repetitive when you always use the same champion. So getting to use a champion like Hercules, who I can just go in, just punch the opponent until they go down, and they go down fast, it was very refreshing, so I didn't mind this at all. Although having Kitty Pryde banned does suck. Now real quick before going to the results of the war, this was a rank 5 Nick Fury boss, and he got destroyed in a minute and a half. That just shows how powerful Hercules can be. It's honestly kinda dumb, but in a good way. As for the results, we did end up winning the war 7-2. Another great war from us. 2 deaths as an alliance is an amazing score.